Hi, I'm Brianna Smith, and I work in the science department at Brownsboro High School. I'd like to read for you The Velveteen Rabbit, or How Toys Become Real. This is based on the book by Marjorie Williams and illustrated by Dawn Daly. There once was a Velveteen Rabbit, and he was really splendid. His coat was spotted brown and white. He had real thread whiskers, and his ears were lined with pink sateen. For a long time, he lived in the toy cupboard or on the nursery floor, and no one thought very much about him. The only person who was kind to him was the Skin Horse. The Skin Horse had lived longer in the nursery than any of the others, and he was very old and wise. "What is real?" asked the rabbit one day. "It's a thing that happens to you," the Skin Horse said, "when a child loves you for a long, long time." One evening, when the boy was going to bed, he couldn't find the china dog that always slept with him. "Here," Nana said, "take your old bunny." And she put the rabbit into the boy's arms. That night, and for many nights after, the Velveteen Rabbit slept in the boy's bed. When the boy dropped off to sleep, the rabbit would snuggle down with the boy's arms around him all night long. Spring came, and they had long days in the garden, for wherever boy went, the rabbit went too. Once, when the rabbit was left out on the lawn until long after dusk, Nana had to come and look for him. "Fancy all that fuss for a toy," she said. "You mustn't say that," the boy said. "He isn't a toy. He's real." When the little rabbit heard that, he was happy. He was real. One evening in the garden, the rabbit saw two strange beings. They were rabbits like him, but quite furry and brand new. "Why don't you get up and play with us?" one of them asked. "I don't feel like it," said the rabbit. "I don't believe you can," said the furry rabbit. "He doesn't smell right. He isn't a rabbit at all. He isn't real." "I am real," said the little rabbit. "The boy said so," and he nearly began to cry. Weeks passed, and the little rabbit grew very old and shabby, but the boy loved him just as much. And then one day, the boy became ill. It was a long, weary time, for the boy was too ill to play. But the little rabbit snuggled down patiently and looked forward to the time when the boy would be well again. Presently the fever turned, and the boy got better. He was able to sit up in bed while the little rabbit cuddled close at his side. The boy was going to the seaside the next day on doctor's orders. "Hurrah!" thought the little rabbit. He wanted very much to see the big waves coming in, and the tiny crabs, and the sand castles. But the room was to be disinfected, and all the books and toys that the boy had played with in bed must be burnt. "How about this old bunny?" Nanny asked. "That," said the doctor. "Why, it's a mass of scarlet fever germs. Burn it at once." And so the little rabbit was put into a sack and carried out to the garden to be burned the next morning. That night, the boy had a new bunny to sleep with him. It was a splendid bunny, all white plush with real glass eyes. And while the boy was asleep, dreaming of the seaside, the little rabbit felt very lonely. A tear trickled down his shabby velvet nose and fell to the ground. And then a strange thing happened, for where the tear had fallen, a flower grew. And presently a blossom opened, and out of it stepped a fairy. "I take care of all the playthings that the children have loved," she said. "When the children don't need them anymore, I turn them into real." "Wasn't I real before?" asked the little rabbit. "You were real to the boy," the fairy said, "because he loved you. Now you shall be real to everyone." And she flew with the little rabbit into the wood where the wild rabbits danced. She kissed him and put him down on the grass. "Run and play, little rabbit." For the little rabbit sat quite still. He didn't want the other rabbits to see that he was made all in one piece. Just then something tickled his nose, and before he thought what he was doing, he lifted his hind toe to scratch it. He found that he actually had hind legs. Instead of dingy velveteen, he had brown fur. His ears twitched by themselves, and his whiskers were so long that they brushed in the grass. He was a real rabbit at last, at home with the other rabbits. Autumn passed, and winter, and in the spring, when the days grew warm, the boy went out to play in the wood. While he was playing, 2 rabbits crept out and peeped at him. One of them had strange markings. Around his nose and eyes there was something familiar. The boy thought to himself, "He looks just like my old bunny that was lost when I had scarlet fever." But he never knew that it really was his own bunny, come back to look at the child who first helped him to become real.